Okay, welcome back, my friends. We are reading the Twits, and we are on chapter. Let's see, what is this? 21. Okay, so um, you can follow along. Obviously, we have the words in front of us right now, and so we're going to start off with Mr. and Mrs. Twit go off to buy guns. Ay, ay, ay. So remember that we want to do what good readers do, and we want to be visualizing what's going on in the story. We want to be making connections to our own life, to the world, to other stories we have read. If you are a Roald Dahl, reader, you know that a lot of times he does, he has similarities, right? Guns are often in his books, like Mr. Fox, Magic Finger, right? If not, you should read those. Those are good books. So be making predictions and have I wonders, okay? So on that note, we're going to get started. So they're off to buy guns. Yikes. They want those birds. I wonder how this is going to turn out. The next morning, when Mr. Twit came out of with his huge basket, not a single bird was sitting on either the monkey cage or the big dead tree. They were all perched happily on the roof of Mr. Twit's house. The Roly Poly Bird was up there as well, and the monkeys were in the cage, and the whole lot of them were hooting and laughing at Mr. Twit. Oh, that's certainly not helping the matter, is it? I'll wipe that silly little laugh off your beaks, Mr. Twit screamed at the birds. I'll get you next time, you filthy feathery frumps. I'll wring your necks, the whole lot of you, and have you bubbling in a pot for bird pie before the day is out. Uh-oh. He's angry. How are you going to do that? Asked Mrs. Twit, who had come outside to see what all the noise was about. I won't have you smearing sticky glue all over the roof of our house. Mr. Twit got very excited. Oh, I've got a great idea, he cried. He didn't bother to keep his voice down because he didn't think the monkeys could understand. We'll both go into town right away and we'll buy a gun each, he shouted. How's that? Brilliant, cried Mrs. Twit, grinning and showing her long yellow teeth. We'll buy those big shotguns and spray out 50 bullets or more with each bang. Exactly, said Mr. Twit. Lock up the house while I go make sure the monkeys are safely shut away. Mr. Twit went over to the monkey cage. Attention, he barked at his fearsome monkey trainer's voice. Upside down, all of you, jump to it. One on top of another, quick! Get on with it, or you'll feel Mrs. Twit stick across your backsides. Poor little monkeys. Obediently, the poor monkeys stood on their hands and clambered one on top of the other, with Mr. Muggle-Wump at the bottom and the smallest child on the very top. Now, stay there until I come back, Mr. Twit ordered. Don't you dare move, and don't overbalance. When we return in 2 or 3 hours of time, I shall expect to find you exactly the same position as you are now. Do you understand? With that, Mr. Twit marched away. Mrs. Twit went with him, and the monkeys were left alone with the birds. Muggle-Wump has an idea. Next chapter. That Muggle-Wump, they're pretty smart. As soon as Mr. and Mrs. Twit had disappeared down the road, the monkeys all flipped back on their feet, up right away. I think I would have done that too. Quick, get the key, Muggle-Wump called out to Roly Poly Bird, who was still sitting on the roof of the house. What key? Shouted Roly Poly Bird. The key to the door of our cage, cried Muggle-Wump. It's hanging on the nail in the work shed. That's where he always puts it. The Roly Poly Bird flew down and came back with the key in his beak. Muggle-Wump reached a hand through the bars of the cage and took the key. He put it in the lock and turned it. The door opened. All 4 monkeys leaped out together. We are free, cried the 2 little ones. Where shall we go, Dad? Where shall we hide? Don't get excited, said Muggle-Wump. Calm down, everybody. Before we escape from this beastly place, we have one very important thing to do. So right now is some good I wonders and some predictions. I wonder what they're going to do. What? They asked him. We're going to turn those terrible twits upside down. We're going to what? They cried. You must be joking, Dad. I'm not joking, Muggle-Wump said. We're going to turn both Mr. and Mrs. Twit upside down with their legs in the air. Don't be ridiculous, the Roly Poly Bird said. How can we possibly turn those two maggoty old monsters upside down? We can, cried the Muggle-Wump. We are going to make them stand on their heads for hours and hours, perhaps forever. Let them see what it feels like, just for a change. How? Said the Roly Poly Bird. Just tell me how. Muggle-Wump laid his head on one side of the tiny twinkling little smile torched. Muggle-Wump laid his head on one side, and a tiny twinkling little smile torched the corners of his mouth. Now and again he said, but not very often, I have a brilliant idea. This is one of them. Follow me, my friends, follow me. He scampered off towards the house, and the three other monkeys and Roly Poly Bird went after him. Buckets and paintbrushes, cried Muggle-Wump. That's what we want next. There are plenty in the work shed. Hurry up, everyone, get a bucket and a paintbrush. Inside Mr. Twit's work shed, there was an enormous barrel of hug-tight sticky glue, the stuff that he used to catch the birds. Fill your buckets, Muggle-Wump ordered. We are now going into the big house. Mrs. Twit had a hidden key to the front door under the mat, and Muggle-Wump had seen her doing it, so it was easy for them to get in. In they went, all four monkeys with their buckets of sticky glue. Then came the Roly Poly Bird flying down in after them, with a bucket in his beak and a brush in his claw. I wonder what's going on. I can't imagine what his idea is. They want some revenge. I hope they don't get caught. Right? So again, lots of I wonders and predictions being made right now. The great glue painting begins. This is the living room, announced Muggle-Wump. A grand and glorious living room where these two fearful, frumpious freaks eat bird pie every week for supper. Please don't mention bird pie again, said Roly Poly Bird. It gives me the shudders. We mustn't waste time, cried Muggle-Wump. Hurry up. Now, first thing is this. I want everyone to paint sticky glue all over the ceiling. Cover it all. Smear it in every corner. Over the ceiling, they cried. Why the ceiling? Never mind why, shouted Muggle-Wump. Just do as you're told and don't argue. But how are we going to get up there? They asked. We can't reach. Monkeys can reach anywhere, shouted Muggle-Wump. He was in a frenzy of excitement now, waving his paintbrush and his bucket and leaping about all over the room. Come on. Jump on the table. Stand on the chairs. Hop on the other's shoulders. Roly Poly can do it flying. Don't just stand there gasping or gaping. We have to hurry. Don't you understand that? Those terrible twits will be back any moment, and this time they'll have guns. Get on with it, for heaven's sakes, get on with it. He's got a good point there, right? They don't want to get caught, so they better get on with it. Okay, and so the great glue painting of the ceiling began. All the other birds who had been sitting on the roof flew in to help, carrying paintbrushes in their claws and beaks. There were buzzards, magpies, rooks, ravens, and many more. Everyone was splashing away like mad, and with so many helpers, they got the job finished soon. So, boy, oh boy, yeah, I'm not sure why they're painting the ceiling. I wonder what your ideas are, because I don't know how they're going to get to the ceiling, but you know what? Muggle-Wump says he has a grand idea, so I wonder exactly what his idea is. So, until next time, we're getting towards the end of the book. Make your predictions. I would love to hear them in the comments. And remember, between now and then, keep reading and doing your best. Okay, thanks for joining me, and I will see you soon.